We've got a great show lined up for you here on Retiring Well, starting off with Social Security insolvency. There's been a lot of press about this lately. So what are some of the things that you should be doing to plan for your retirement? And also looking sort of here mid-year Medicare marketplace updates that Nick is going to be sharing with you. Along with that, should 401k plans be used for emergencies, or is that just simply bad planning? And then lastly, giving while you are living. How do you best give from your assets while you're alive to help benefit others? So all this and a whole lot more coming up right here, right now on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Welcome to Coffee Talk here on Retiring Well with John Torbett and Art Canfield. We hate to start your day out with kind of a rough, scary topic, but we're going to get right to it and not beat around the bush here. You've probably been hearing a lot about this. Well, for years now, really, this has been popping up on your Social Security statement, news articles, all this sort of things come out, and we want to look the bull in the eyes here and talk about this. And it's Social Security insolvency. This idea that what we're used to as a retiree today is going to be a little bit different. This insolvency, this fund of money is running low and may or may not have been misused over the years. That's a different discussion. But effectively, what does that look like? So right now they're talking about the year 2034 having an 80% basically benefit, not 80% reduction, but you'll get 80% of what you're getting now. So a 20% reduction. So in theory, think of this. If this happens in 2034, if you're getting, $2,000, you're going to be reduced to $1,600. That's how the math works out effectively. So many dates have been floated out over the years. We've seen different variations, but right now is what they're saying is 2034 of this date coming around. So we want to be having this conversation if this happens, assuming nothing else changes, what are some things that you could be doing now to prepare yourself for this day if this does happen?
Right. So, one of the advantages we have now is that time factor of, okay, well, we think we've got a little bit of time before this occurs. So, again, what can we be doing now? So, using that example that Art had put out there of saying if you're anticipating $2,000 a month, anticipate that could potentially be $1,600 a month. So, how much more would you need to save to essentially cover that shortfall? So if you're using sort of the standard 4% withdrawal rule, then essentially to make up that $4,800 per year, you'd have to have about $120,000 saved, because it's 4% of $120,000, $4,800. So again, if you can, over the time frame between now and 2034, just save that much more in your retirement portfolio and sort of set that aside, that could essentially cover that potential shortfall. So simple thing to do, but also not maybe as easy to just say, yeah, just save an extra $120,000.
Absolutely, John. And thinking about that too, is like not only saving that perspective, what do you do with it and things of that nature, but thinking about that as John talked about the money aspect, think of those sources that could be coming from, diversifying your income pieces. Years ago, retirement used to be pension, Social Security, and you had a little extra savings. We used to talk about the three-legged stool all the time. Well, that's, for the most part, very few people are having that anymore. And especially if we see a reduction in Social Security, it's dramatically going to change that stool, because you may not have a pension, reduce Social Security, so that falls back on that savings. So kind of developing your own three-legged stool, diversifying those income sources, whether that be maybe a rental property, whether that may be some form of an annuity where it has some sort of guaranteed payout structure, and then various other investments that produce that income for you, so you can have that predictable and sustainable income for your lifetime.
Another thing you should focus on is paying off your debts. After 20 years of observing folks here at Centennial Wealth Advisory and where they've had the greatest amount of success is ultimately eliminating as many of those potential monthly payments that you can going into retirement. So you've got some time on your side. So if you can focus on that plan to try and pay pay down or ideally pay off all those debts, or if there's certain, I know a lot of times folks come to us and say, well, in retirement I want to have the fishing boat or the new truck or whatever that may be. Okay, ideally you're paying for all of that prior to your retirement date.
Absolutely. And the other one, this could be a little bit scary because, we're talking about this insolvency of Social Security, but then I'm going to throw out the idea of there's delaying your Social Security. The idea of if your Social Security benefit is going to be reduced, one way potentially to combat that is delaying when the start date is to try to get some of that future growth. Because, as it is right now, taking it at 62 versus waiting till later in life, either full retirement age or age 70, there's a vast difference in what that monthly payout is going to be. So again, understanding that could be a scary thought when we're talking about the insolvency of it. Many people's notion or gut feeling is to say, hey, give it to me now. I want to get as much as I can. And there may be an argument for that too, but just specifically the idea of potentially growing that benefit.
Yeah, so again, the advantage is you have time, but it'd be something we'd encourage you to give us a call. Let us sit down and help you plan to retire well.
If you are nearing retirement or already retired, we invite you to an exciting and informative live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner to help you plan to retire well. There is no cost and no obligation, and dinner is on us. Information is power. Let us help you make educated financial decisions, such as understanding Social Security do's and don'ts. What year-end tax planning opportunities should you consider? Is your financial plan still on track? Alphabet soup with retirement plans. What should you be using? Asset location versus asset allocation. Which matters more? We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial professionals, specializing in retirement planning and serving all of northern Michigan, with offices in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, Cadillac, and Manistee. Call 888-608-5825 or register online and choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, September 9th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City. Wednesday, September 10th at the Hampton Inn and Suites in Manistee. Wednesday, September 10th at the Perry Hotel in Petoskey. Tuesday, September 16th at Slate in Traverse City. Wednesday, September 17th at Treetops Hunters Grill in Gaylord. Or Wednesday, September 17th at Ferris State University in Big Rapids. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend, with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and tends to fill quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today. Don't miss this important live event to help you plan to retire well. After more than a decade of stock market growth, volatility jolted investors back to the harsh reality of occasional market pullbacks in the investing cycle. Download our free white paper, Navigating Market Volatility. It's all about perspective, for an in-depth analysis of historic lessons and time-tested investment strategies. Simply go to sen-wealth.com, scroll down and click the link Navigating Market Volatility. It's all about perspective to receive your free copy of this valuable and informative resource.
Health insurance is a huge concern for many retirees. And of course, the health insurance landscape seems to always be changing. In fact, we just had some recent legislation that passed that is going to change both Medicare and marketplace insurance for 2026. And that's what I want to cover with you today. I know 2026 is still a long ways out, but it's still a good time to take a look at your health insurance, see what changes are on the horizon, and potentially make some adjustments when open enrollment comes this fall. So first up, on the Medicare side, for 2025, we did see some big changes take effect in the Part D landscape. The biggest change was that they capped the max out-of-pocket at $2,000 for this year. I have seen this be so beneficial for so many clients who are taking some medications that are very high priced. With this new rule, hey, you're capped at $2,000 for those covered medications, and it's really helped so many people. For 2026, not much is changing on that front. It will go up a little bit just with a cost of living adjustment and so forth. So the new Part D max out of pocket for 2026 is just going to be $2,100. So just a $100 increase. Now for 2025 though, on the Medicare side, we did see that supplement plans increase their premium on average in the state state of Michigan, some 12.1%. Okay, so that has come to a bit of a shock for a lot of clients, seeing their supplement plan premiums go up so drastically. We do believe that, based on this new legislation that passed and so forth, that we're going to continue to see the higher premium increases annually. Some people are expecting somewhere between a 12 to 17% increase in those supplement plan premiums for 2026, but we'll see what that brings. Also, the 2025 Medicare trustee report just announced, well, it wasn't really announced, it was hidden in their report, that they do expect the Part B premium to go up to over $205 for 2026. If you recall, right now we're at $185 for that Part B premium, so don't be surprised if that Part B premium does go above the $205 mark per month for next year. The final announcement won't be released until this fall, but it's always good to be thinking about those price increases. On the marketplace side, so this would be health insurance for people that are under the age of 65 and don't have access to their employer coverage or anything like that. You'd go onto Marketplace, okay? Marketplace was hit a little bit harder by this recent legislative changes that we had for health insurance. The big one here, well, we had the max out-of-pocket increase for those marketplace plans. Went from $9,400 in 2025 to an anticipated $10,600 for 2026. So that's something to be paying attention to. We also learned that with this new legislation, we're not going to have any more automatic re-enrollments, wherein, like in years past, if you liked the plan that you had, you didn't have to do anything, you could just let it ride for the next year. Well, for 2026, if you're getting a premium subsidy, it's not going to just automatically re-enroll you. So you're going to want to take a look at your health insurance and recertify, and basically what they're after is trying to recertify your income to make sure that you're getting the subsidy that you should be getting there. Another change with this new legislation is that the open enrollment period for Marketplace is going to be condensed a little bit here. So typically what we've seen for the open enrollment is it runs from November 1st through January 15th. However, for this fall, that open enrollment period has been condensed down. It is now just November 1st through December 15th. And this is pretty important because what we have found is that about 40% of those that sign up for Marketplace insurance, they do so after December 15th. So this year, coming up here for the various open enrollment periods, it's going to be a time where you don't want to put things off, okay? There's lots of changes coming on the horizon. You want to make sure you're revisiting your health insurance plan, and if changes need to be made, do it during the corresponding open enrollment periods. Here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, it's not just investment planning, right? To have a solid retirement plan, we look at it all, and that includes your health insurance. So if you need help navigating the ever-changing health insurance landscape, please don't hesitate to give the number on the screen a call, schedule a free, no-obligation consultation where we can help you plan to retire well.
Living life isn't always easy. It puts up challenges and obstacles you'll have to overcome. There are responsibilities. You put in effort to provide and take care of your family, to save and invest, to balance work and life. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
Centennial Wealth Advisory is expanding, and we are excited to add a new office in Manistee to better serve our growing family of clients. Our new office is located in the historic Briney Building in the center of idyllic downtown Manistee. Whether you are an existing client or would like to meet for the first time for your free, no obligation initial consultation, we look forward to welcoming you in our new office or at any of our Northern Michigan locations in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, Cadillac, or Manistee.
The number of Americans accessing their 401ks for emergencies has risen based on a new study conducted by Vanguard. Vanguard is one of the largest 401k providers out there, and they released some new numbers last year that highlight some concerns that we have in the financial community. Now, their overall percentage of people going to their 401k loans early is still relatively low, but the trend is continuing to grow over time. And this really just highlights the concern that a lot of us don't have adequate emergency funds or cash reserves to meet some of these unexpected life events that tend to come up. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, if we're looking at a 401k plan, which is what we typically talk about and most people have for their retirement savings, there's some pretty specific rules we have to be careful of if we're going to go access those. The big one, of course, is we're pulling money out of the market, so there's an opportunity cost of accessing those funds. But more importantly, these funds can come with some tax consequences. Additionally, there's some different rules around hardship withdrawals for medical expenses, first-time home purchases, or other things that you might have to prove. And if you can't prove the funds are used for those types of events, there could be an additional 10% tacked on top of your state and federal taxes. So that can become a pretty expensive way to access funds. Now, that might be your last resort, but we want to talk about today as well, maybe there's some different ways around this. And if you're someone that you're thinking of accessing your 401k early for some of these unexpected events or expenses that come up, I would encourage you go meet with a tax advisor like we have here at Centennial Wealth Advisory to make sure you can meet some of those exceptions and avoid that additional 10%. But what are some other ways we could go access it? Well, one option would be look at taking like a 401k loan. Well, why is that better? Well, you're still pulling money out, so there's still that opportunity cost of losing investment growth. But because you're taking that debt on, debt is usually tax-free. Now, if you're someone that's continually adding contributions into that plan, that additional payment now that comes with that loan might just be absorbed in your cash flow of what's already going into that retirement plan. Now, if you're someone where you had to turn off contributions or you don't have anything going into that plan, you need to be careful because this could hurt your cash flow. This is what's going to come back to just your specific situation, your goals, your financial independence, and all these other things that we want to be thinking about to make sure that we don't impact cash flow that can ultimately hurt us down the road. But I was meeting with an individual a couple years ago, and they had some big expenses come up, and we started to look at, well, how can we get access to money? And we did go down this 401k loan because they're going to be retiring in a couple years. So the idea was, well, if we take out this loan, then once they retire, they're going to default on the loan because they've separated from service, which it sounds worse than it is. Basically, the taxes then are paid when you default or they retire. But the point is they're in a much lower income bracket at that point. So you could actually get the money out now and pay taxes on it later when they're in a lower rate. The other option is just have the right savings plan in place. You know, we often think, again, that we got to put money into our 401k plans, and that's a great start. But in my opinion, once you max out your match from your employer, let's start to think about other places we could own assets. Now, I was meeting with some individuals recently that came to one of our dinner events. They're on the younger side, and we were talking about this very concept of how do we build more flexibility into our retirement plan. You know, the traditional just save into a 401k, I think that's starting to change because this idea of early retirement or having more control of our money or just more flexibility is starting to become more front of mind to a lot of people. And the point is if we want to have that flexibility later, we need to be doing that now. We need to be building those savings in those other places. We always hear about diversification from, stock bond mix, but what I think is more important is diversification from tax standpoint. Should we have everything in our 401k? Maybe we should be saving to a Roth IRA outside of that plan, or an after-tax brokerage account away from our 401k employers. These places are going to give us more flexibility, so when these things come up, like the water heater goes out, or we need a new roof, or we want to just do some home updates, we can go look at these other sources to be able to use them and not have to pay extra taxes or pay penalties to the IRS, which we certainly want to avoid. But each of these has their pros and cons. So if you don't have access to these other tools right now, I would encourage you, go meet with a financial advisor, have a team like we have here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, where we can go through how each of these different tax buckets work, the pros and cons to them, and then start to work with you based on your goals and what you're trying to achieve to determine what is the best saving strategy for you going forward.
If you are nearing retirement or already retired, we invite you to an exciting and informative live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner to help you plan to retire well. There is no cost and no obligation, and dinner is on us. Information is power. Let us help you make educated financial decisions, such as understanding Social Security do's and don'ts. What year-end tax planning opportunities should you consider? Is your financial plan still on track? Alphabet soup with retirement plans. What should you be using? Asset location versus asset allocation. Which matters more? We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial professionals, specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan, with offices in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, Cadillac, and Manistee. Call 888-608-5825 or register online and choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, September 9th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City. Wednesday, September 10th at the Hampton Inn and Suites in Manistee. Wednesday, September 10th at the Perry Hotel in Petoskey. Tuesday, September 16th at Slate in Traverse City. Wednesday, September 17th at Treetops Hunters Grill in Gaylord. Or Wednesday, September 17th at Ferris State University in Big Rapids. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend, with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and tends to fill quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today. Don't miss this important live event to help you plan to retire well. After more than a decade of stock market growth, volatility jolted investors back to the harsh reality of occasional market pullbacks in the investing cycle. Download our free white paper, Navigating Market Volatility. It's all about perspective, for an in-depth analysis of historic lessons and time-tested investment strategies. Simply go to sen-wealth.com, scroll down and click the link Navigating Market Volatility. It's all about perspective, to receive your free copy of this valuable and informative resource.
Hey, welcome to this segment on giving while you are living. This is a really cool segment that we get to talk about some of the things that we see in our offices about how clients want to give to charity, want to give to family and friends, and then the strategies behind how they get that done. So I want to take a quick moment and I want you to think about the most selfless person you've ever met, whether they're still with us or not. Just think about the most selfless person. And now think about what all kinds of thoughts are coming. What kind of emotions are you feeling? I'm guessing they're going to be pretty positive. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how do we leverage what you have for other people, other missions, other charities. The first one might be a situation where you have money that you want to give, but the mission that you're trying to give it to, you're not quite ready, or it isn't lined up, or you have more money coming in than you want to give to one particular mission. But you still want the tax advantages of that giving. Well, what you might be able to do is open up what's called a donor advised fund. And all a donor advised fund is, it's a special fund, it's a special account that you can contribute cash into, or you can transfer appreciated assets into. And you can get it into this account. When you do that, you get the tax deduction. So if you're itemizing, that's when the tax advantage really comes to play. And then in that account, now you can decide, do I want to keep some of the money in cash? Do I want to invest some in bonds, in stocks? You can grow it that way. But what you're also allowed to do is then give out of that account in subsequent years. or the same year, okay? And so then what happens is as you're giving and sending to these charities, you can also do it anonymously. So they just get a check from the custodian, and you can denote why you want to, where you might want those funds to go, but they will never really know if it's you, okay? The second thing is called the QCD, Qualified Charitable Distribution. This would be really advantageous when you're 70 and a half to give out of your IRA. These tax-deferred monies, you never paid tax on it, you saved it up, and now you want to be giving to a local charity or a church. I see people that will be 70 and a half years old, and they'll be giving out of their checkbook. And I'll say, hey, you know, you're old enough now to give out of your IRA. Yep, I'm giving $6,000 out of my checkbook. Cool. Let's give $6,000 out of your IRA. It is not a taxable event for you. Uncle Sam gets kicked out of that transaction. The money goes directly from your IRA to that charity or nonprofit. A phenomenal way to give. Then when you turn to your RMD age, your required minimum distribution age, you can actually still give out of the IRA, and your QCD can satisfy your RMD. Just had a client, they had a $15,000 RMD. They said, hey, we don't need it, don't want it. I said, okay, cool. What kind of charities, what kind of support do you want to give? And they said, cool. And they picked out their charities, and then we satisfied their RMD with a QCD. So beautiful tax planning thing. What's another reason why you might want to give while you live? Sometimes that emotional and fulfillment, the social aspect, the connections that you're building. You know, if you don't have the money to give, well, maybe you give time. Time is money, right? So if you're giving your time, you can equate that. I think Young Life has the best phrase. They say, you have to win the right to be heard. And basically their whole motto is, go show up in people's lives. Win the right to be heard. Win the trust, win the understanding, fill the need, find the need. After that, then you can build the relationship. And so there's so many different volunteer opportunities that are out there, and there's a lot of need. And so sometimes giving your time and energy and life experience, your skill set, can be such a reward to the recipient, but also eventually that does, give you a lot of times life-giving energy. And then finally, what happens if you want to give to a family or a friend, okay? I had a recent situation where this friend had showed up really big in this guy's life. And so he's like, you know what, I'm just going to put him in the will. Well, he had a really close call with death and realized, you know what, why do I want to wait until after I'm gone to give this money? So they gave, they gave the money now. They impacted that person while they were still living. It was a pretty emotional and a really impactful thing. We get another question like, well, how much are we allowed to give? Well, you can give a friend, a family member, up to $19,000 per year per person right now. That's the limit. And if you went over that, okay, then there's just a little denotion that you're basically on your way, okay, the IRS wants to start tracking it, up to $13,990,000 for an individual or $27,980,000 for a married couple. So that's that lifetime exclusion. So if you are sitting there and you're like, yeah, I would love to strategize how I can leverage what I have, give efficiently, impactfully, please, we get to teach and give away education every single week. We love it so much. So we'd love to be able to sit down and help you give while you live. Have a great day.